Hello friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story in which the mother of our OP was thought to be a stupid employee, which ended up costing them a pretty penny. And the new 22-year-old manager was held accountable for it. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You're just a stupid worker. Okay, lose $50,000. So this is my mother's story, and an old one, but I still remember it fondly. My mother was a potting/coating specialist and did special soldering work for a major defense contractor. While she couldn't afford to go to college, she has a solid 35-year career in newer stuff. This happened about 10 years before she retired. Early 90s, her company decided to do a big push where they wanted all managers to have a degree. Any degree. This resulted in her manager, who had years of shop experience, being replaced not by my mother or one of her coworkers, but by a 22-year-old with a BA in interior design. My mother, as well as her coworkers, were fairly vocal about this, but management insisted. Fast forward a few months, and a circuit board arrives in the shop. My mother reviews the instructions and realizes they checked the wrong box. Now, I'm no coding expert, but generally, there's two main ways to protect: to carefully spot cost the areas that need coating, or to pot it in by filling any open spaces with resin. This type of board needed coating, but they checked the potting box. Now, my mother's actually a pretty nice lady, so she goes to the manager and tells her they need to get the paperwork corrected so she can code it, and the manager can sign off on it. The manager proceeded to berate my mother that she had no place to question what the form said, that it's filled out by engineers who are way smarter than her and actually know what they're doing, and to do what she's told. My mother goes back to her workstation, carefully solders on the pieces, grabs a mold, and pots the board. She put this circuit board into a solid cube of potting resin like it was suspended in a cube of ice. Perfectly visible and untouchable. She slaps the paperwork on top, gets the manager to sign off, sends it down the line at 4 p.m., and picked me up from school with the biggest crap-eating grin. The next day, she comes home with the next part of the story. Turns out that wasn't just a circuit board, hence the hand-filled-out form. It was a prototype. That board cost $50,000 to replace in straight manufacturing costs and put them 2 weeks behind on their defense contract. And while, yes, the engineer did make the initial mistake, my mother was more than happy to explain to upper management that actually the mistake had been noticed and caught, but that the shop manager refused to address it. The manager lasted about another month. They replaced her with someone with a completely unnecessary electrical degree who cost a ton more than just getting someone who knew coding or, heaven forbid, would listen to those who did. $50,000 in 1990 to 1995? That's in the range of $80 to $94K in today's dollars. And our second story. You cannot bring your children inside here. I work in a bar in a high-class area. This was one of my first shifts after training. We serve beer and cocktails, but we're primarily a VLT, slot machine lounge. The bar is strictly 19 plus. I'm in Canada, and no one that's underage can come in under any circumstances. One year, I'm working during a yearly Christmas parade that the town puts on. The parade passes right in front of my bar, and there are plenty of families on the sidewalk out front watching the parade. I'm inside with only 4 or 5 customers, so I'm doing some cleaning towards the back of the main VLT room. I'm only half paying attention to the customers because they're all regulars and know where to find me if they need me. It's also early evening, so there's no one really drinking who would need a refill. As I'm focusing on cleaning, I hear a hello from the main bar. I turn around and it's a man I've never seen before standing at the bar looking agitated. He'll now be known as ED, Entitled Dad. ED, I've been waiting here forever. He hasn't. What took you so long? I'm sure owner would like to hear about your bad service. Side note, the town's small and nearly everyone knows who the owner of my bar is. Me. Sorry about that, sir. I was cleaning towards the back and didn't hear you come in. What can I do for you? ED. Well, the parade's almost over and my children are cold. And after it's over, I'm going to bring the kids in here to warm up. I wanted to make sure there's no riffraff in here first. Me. Sorry, sir, but this establishment is 19 plus. Only you won't be able to bring anyone under 19 in. There's a bowling alley around the corner, and they happen to be running a family night special that you may be interested in. ED. What do you mean you won't let my kids come in? We come in here every year after the parade, and they always let us. This is an outrage. I know owner, and he will not be happy about this. He storms out the door after that. I call my boss, not the owner, and ask if anyone has ever brought their kids in after the parade. She says no, and no one under 19 can come in ever. I tell her that's what I told ED, and she tells me I did the right thing. For the next 10 minutes or so, I just chat with my regular customers, and we laugh about ED's story. I hear the door open and look to see who it is, and of course it's ED with 4 kids, the youngest being 4 or 5 and the oldest being around 13, bringing them all inside. The kids start taking off their coats and boots and throwing them everywhere and start running towards the pretty slot machines with all the lights. Me. Excuse me, sir, I already told you cannot bring your children inside here. I'll have to ask you all to leave immediately. ED starts smirking and says, I called owner and he said we're more than welcome here. He said you were in the wrong and owe us an apology immediately. How can you stand letting children freeze to death? They're cold and blah, blah, blah. As he's talking, I pull my phone out of my apron to call the owner. Before I can even dial the last number on the phone, the owner calls me. I answer the phone, and before I can even start telling him what's going on, he says he got a phone call from some a-hole that wanted to bring his kids to the bar after the parade, and under no circumstances can he bring them inside. As the owner is talking to me on the phone, ED still won't shut up about how terrible of an employee I am and how I must hate children. The owner stops mid-sentence and says, Is that him in the background? And I say yes, with all his kids. The owner says, Give me 5 minutes and keep them away from the slot machines, and then hangs up. Not long after the owner comes in, ED greets him like he's an old friend and glares at me. The owner walks over to him and says, ED, are you stupid or deaf? I told you not to bring your kids here and not to ever come in again. Now get the F out of my bar, now! ED's jaw drops to the ground, and he starts saying how he would never set foot in the bar again, and he'd be going to the police about the hate crime that he's experiencing. The owner just keeps saying get out over and over again. ED wrangles all his kids and is going on and on about hate crimes and how he can't wait to see him in court. All the young kids are screaming and crying, and the oldest one's yelling at the owner with his dad. They finally all leave, and the owner turns around to talk to me. As we're talking about what just happened, there's a smash right behind him. The oldest of the kids got a rock from the ground and threw it through the glass front door, smashing the glass. After he saw what he did, he stood there, shocked for a second, then ran away. The owner calls the police immediately. I don't know everything that happened afterward, but I know that the owner took ED to court for destruction of property and won. And after the police reviewed the camera footage of when they were inside the bar, CPS got involved with ED because he gave the oldest child money to put in the slot machine. I still work at the same bar 5 years later, and I've never seen ED or the kids again. These people are idiots. I guess they never heard of something called a law. And our last story. EM tries to steal my car, but karma gets her first. And this story happened 2 years ago, so some stuff won't be the same. Some backstory. I was in high school when my birthday was maybe 5 or 6 days away, and I saw that my parents were being weird, like all the time. And I asked them why they were so nervous, but they said that they bought me a car for my 17th birthday. I was so happy that I'd finally get a car. I've been learning how to drive. My birthday comes and all my friends are there, and they saw my car and were shocked at how amazing it was. Fast forward 2 months, and I was riding. We have a license so we can drive, even if we're 17 years old, to the store to get some groceries. I paid, and when I was walking to my car, I saw a woman looking at my car. I come up to her, and she had a child which was running around. This is how the conversation with EM and me went. EM's entitled mom, AK is annoying kid, me is me, C1 is cop 1, C2 is cop 2. EM. Hey, are you the owner of this car? My kid said it looked cool. Me. Thanks, I am the owner of this car. How can I help you? Trying to put my groceries in my car? EM. Hey, what are you doing? This is my car. This man here's trying to steal my car. After she said that, people were looking at us. Me. Ma'am, this is my car. I said that like seconds ago. You're making a scene here. I lifted the keys of my car so she can see them, but in a split second, she took them. Me. What are you doing? Give me my keys back. She ignored me and went to unlock my car. AK was now confused and about to cry. I looked around and I saw a man talking and heard something like, "There's this lady trying to steal a car." AK starts crying, "Mommy, please, can we go now?" She totally ignores him. Me. I'm now confused what happened, but I said, "I'm gonna call the cops on you for trying to steal my car." She heard it because I saw her looking at me after I said that. Maybe 5 minutes pass, and then I saw cops pulling by us. Why she didn't take my car? Because I was standing in her way. If she tried to go reverse, she will hit me. Plus, there are people, so I can easily get her in jail, etc. C1 approaches to me and asked me if this was my car. I said yes and showed him my license. Then he goes to the door, and the conversation went like this. C1, "Ma'am, you need to leave this car right now." She was visibly nervous and said, "Okay." She then left the car, and C1 handcuffed her, and C2 asked me, "Will you press charges against her?" Me. "Yes, I will." I called my parents and they laughed at me, but they still said I must be careful so this won't happen again. We went to court. We won. She got 6 or 7 months in jail and some community work. Lady forgets license plates and car registrations exist. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.